think I should be, yes. Joe was opening a new business, and one of his friends decided to send flowers for the occasion. The flowers arrived, and Joe read the card. It said, "Rest in peace." Joe, enraged, called the florist to complain. The florist quietly replied, "Sir, I am really sorry for the mistake, but rather than getting angry, you should imagine this. Somewhere there is a funeral taking place today, and they have flowers with a note saying, 'Congratulations on your new location.'" For those of you who don't know, I just give a joke to settle us. It has nothing to do with the sermon. Deb, are you still at the piano? Could you play that "Raise Me Up" chorus again, please? And if the choir could softly sing the chorus, that is our prayer. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. This month, the world watched another chapter in human exploration. Artemis II, concluded in April 2026, was a historic 10-day crewed flight test, marking the first time human beings returned to the vicinity of the moon since 1972. Astronauts traveled around the moon, tested Orion's life support systems, and then returned safely, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. It became a bridge between the earlier uncrewed Artemis I mission and future lunar landing journeys yet to come. It was a mission about movement, courage, trust, testing, and safe return. That image carries us into today's gospel, because Luke 24 is also a story of a journey and return. Two disciples are walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus after the cross. Their world has been shaken. Their hopes feel broken. They are trying to make sense of everything that has happened, yet on the road, the risen Christ comes near. It is biblical scholar Margaret A. Meir who writes of this passage that our relationship with the resurrected Christ is a relationship of long walks, risky conversations, reframed traumas, and quiet dinners. What a beautiful summary of the story of Emmaus. For resurrection does not arrive only in grand spectacles. It comes on roads, in honest conversations around tables, and through hearts slowly awakened again. I have titled our sermon, Burning Hearts and Willing Feet. I was playing with the word willing and working, and I finally gave up and I just said willing feet. But this is a line I want you to take home today. When Christ lights the heart, he moves the feet. When Christ lights the heart, he moves the feet. Luke tells us that on the first Easter day, these two followers of Jesus leave a familiar place unto an unfamiliar journey. Jerusalem had become the city of heartbreak. Jesus had been crucified, and the reports of the empty tomb had begun to circulate by the women, but confusion still overshadowed the faith. And as they walked, they talked about all that had happened. And then, suddenly, Jesus drew near and joined them. And though they did not recognize him, he was there. So here is the first of 3 points I want to give you to take home this week. 1, may our hearts burn with hope. Back to the story I began with, Artemis II traveled into unfamiliar space. The crew looked back at Earth from a different perspective, and sometimes journeys change what we see. So it was for the disciples. They are between worlds, between grief and joy, and between despair and faith, between what was and what is yet to be. And Jesus asked what troubles them, and they speak honestly, just like Thomas last week in the gospel reading. They confess, we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Verse 21 of chapter 24. I've preached a sermon many times on the words, we had hoped. Many of us know those words. We had hope for healing. We had hoped for a better rendition of the music piece. We had hoped for a better fellowship time. We had hoped for peace in our family gathering at Christmas or Easter. We had hoped for life would turn out better when I told someone that I was not straight. We had hoped that life would be different when my family decided that was not good enough. We had hoped, we have echoed these 3 words many times. Yet Jesus opens the scriptures and gives them a larger view, just like the astronauts. Again, a wider horizon in space they see. The disciples receive a wider horizon of faith. They begin to see that suffering was not the end of God's story. That's what Good Friday is about. But Easter, 50 days long, is a reminder that God's story continues. And later, they say, were not our hearts burning within us while he was walking and talking to us on the road? I did a little bit of checking of the Greek, koinomenen, which is the word for burning. And it has some rendition which could mean our hearts kindled, our hearts were ignited. And this is the one I like. Our hearts were set ablaze. Their hearts had grown cold with the grief, but Christ lit something in them, a holy fire that burned their hearts. And so we had hoped was now held by that holy fire. And though we come to this day, perhaps some of us do need that larger vision of life, no matter what is happening to us. We had hoped that life would not be like this, but we have been looking only through a narrow perspective. Widen your perspective, I suggest to you today, for we have been looking only at the problem, perhaps, only the pain, only the inability and the disabilities, but only at the present moment. But you know what Easter says to us? As Christ walks with us, Easter says that God in Christ is prepared to widen our perspective with that heart that is set ablaze, so that we may see from the perspective of God in Christ. This is how John puts it. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. John 1 and verse 5. When Christ lights the heart, he moves the feet. So may our hearts burn with hope this day, a hope that knows that God in Christ sets ablaze in our hearts. And secondly, may our feet move with love. Artemis' stool was not only about going out, it was about coming back safely. A mission is incomplete without return. And when you watched on the television, they were talking about that heat shield and how they had to change their arrangement in order for the astronauts to get back in without it being burned. And so too in Emmaus. When they reached the village, the disciples invite Jesus to stay. At the table, he breaks bread, he blesses, he gives to them, and now their eyes are fully opened. And Luke says, that same hour they got up and returned to Jerusalem, where they were coming from first. The road they had walked in sorrow becomes the road they now walk in joy. That is resurrection, my friends. Christ does not renew us merely for private comfort, but Christ renews us so that we may return to relationships, community, service, and witness. Faith is that which gets up. Hope goes back. Love returns. So today, we welcome 4 new members within our community, and we covenant with a lot of our leaders. This place has a lot of good and faithful leaders. This story is a story of what I call willing feet. New members, listen to me for just a couple words. New members are joining us as we continue this journey. I encourage you simply to be a companion on the faith journey. Your place here matters only if you are a faithful companion. And that simply means following the way of God's love and justice in the world. Leaders, you are here. As you may know, I don't like certain colonial words, so I don't use the word servants. You too are companion leaders. You're here simply to help to guide us as we continue this journey together. TSB United Church is called not only to gather, but to go, to walk, to be willing to go. And Paul writes, walk in love as Christ loved us. Ephesians 5 and verse 2. Feet move with love through pastoral care. Feet move with love through justice ministries. Feet move with love through hospitality, music, oh yes, prayer, proclamation, and service. For when Christ lights the heart, he moves the feet. So what have I said so far? 1, may our hearts burn with hope. 2, may our feet move with love. And 3, may our church walk with Christ. Artemis II also served as a bridge, as I said earlier, a mission bridge, linking Artemis I and future lunar landings. I was in a conversation with someone in the supermarket recently, and he commented what a miracle it is that they came back safe. And he asked me, would you go to Mars? I said, perhaps, but not for 10 days. And he said, you know, that's what Jesus did when he ascended. I said, you know what? I didn't tell him I was a minister. I said, that's an interesting way of thinking. Let's talk about it another time. It prepared Artemis II prepared the way for what comes next. In Easter, the church is called to be a bridge people. I'm intentionally pausing because I want it to sink in. A bridge people, a bridge for generations, young and old. A bridge for cultures, new and long time. A bridge for membership, long time members and new. A bridge for the pain that we carry and the healing that is a reality. A bridge for strangers who pass by our doors and our community. A bridge for those that are wealthy and those that have not enough. A bridge for the building, a bridge for the staff, a bridge for the fellowship, a bridge for the community. See all that you do in this place as a bridge people. For faithful followers are becoming a witness people, a bridge for the figures, a bridge for the finances, a bridge for the polity, a bridge for the justice. The church was never meant only to preserve the memories. The church said, the church, Roman Catholic Church many years ago, that the church is a pilgrim people, preparing the way for what God will do next. A bridge. What does God require is for us to be a bridge that does justice, a bridge that exercises love, a bridge that shows kindness, a bridge that walks humbly with our God. Christ is already on the road, and Jesus promises, I am with you to the very end of the age. Our task is not to ask Christ to join our plans and our priorities. Our task is to notice where Christ is walking and working and willingly joining with Christ. For when Christ lights the heart, he moves the feet. Let me bring this to a conclusion. Before Artemis II, there was Artemis I. And do you know what year Artemis I went to space? 2022. 4 years ago. And it was an uncrewed test flight. It traveled beyond the moon over 270,000 miles from Earth. And one of the crucial tests was the heat shield, as I said earlier, which was about the re-entry at nearly 25,000 miles per hour. Now, when I'm going on the highway, like some people that drive at 130 or more, I'm not looking too far to see some people that drive that speed. I did that this morning. Sorry. Oh, I'm being. Can you cut that? Okay. Like at 130, that seems fast to me. But imagine 25,000 miles per hour. Unreal. Before the crew return could happen, the vessel had to prove it could survive the fire and bring travelers safely home. This is a fitting image, I want to say, for Easter faith. For the disciples on the Emmaus road had passed through the fire of grief. Yet Christ met them there, carried them through, and brought them home so much that they had hope to return to Jerusalem. Many of us know something about re-entry, don't we? About coming back from a loss, coming back from disappointment, coming back from hurt, coming back from illness, coming back from burnout, coming back and being changed by that experience. That's what Easter is about. Easter says Christ meets us in those crossings, that Christ walks beside us, Christ rekindles our hearts and sends us forward again and again. So, let us be in prayer this week for these three things I've shared with you. May our hearts burn with hope, and may our feet move with love, and may our church, TSP, the wider United Church, and the Church of God, any and everywhere, may we walk with Christ. And remember the words I've said, when Christ lights the heart, he what? Moves the feet. May it be so. Let's have a moment of quiet.